How should you respond to trials when adversity comes your way? In this video, I'm going to help you to answer that question. And stay for the full video as I share my experience with trials and how I overcame them. Coming up. Alright guys, before we start, welcome to the New Faith Unchained, teaching you to break the chains that bind you. And if you haven't already, and if you're new, please go ahead and click that subscribe, like, and share button, because each subscribe, like, and share helps our channel to continue to grow. And not only that, it helps to expand our reach to all who are willing to listen to our message. Thank you, and again, welcome to the New Faith Unchained. Now, on to the reasons that we're here. Why has this happened to me? Can you take it away, God? Do either of those questions sound familiar to you? Well, it should. Many people, with myself included, have asked these very same questions whenever problems found their way to us. During my time away, my little hiatus that I took, I've had my share of trials and adversity, and I found that we ask those questions because not only do we want a quick escape from whatever problem that we find ourselves in, but we also lack the knowledge and the understanding behind God's will and purpose for that particular trial in our life. So what is its purpose? What are the purposes for trials in our life? Proof of our faith. Despite hurt, pain, loss, or any persecution that we as Christians might face in our life, we don't hold any bitterness, anger, or resentment towards others. Meaning, we don't repay evil with evil, but evil with good. And when we do that, it increases our faith. Next, testing of our devotion. Now, question for you. Do you only love God when things are going good? Or do you love Him even in the midst of the trials that you face? That's something to think about. Next, purifies our life. So, we've all experienced times in our lives whenever we get comfortable, whenever we get stagnant in our faith, so we don't grow. Now, most of you might not have known this, but consider your minds blown. So, whenever complacency sets in, that leads to trials that come your way. And those trials serve this purpose, to reveal a certain sin or something that is blocking your spiritual growth in your life. So that could be either a person, that could be a place, that could be a thing. And unwise people are going to prolong this process. Why? Because they don't realize what God is trying to do in their life, because they lack the knowledge and understanding behind it. So they're constantly trying to fight with God. And my grandfather used to have a saying for this: your arms are too short to box with God. And that's exactly what that saying means. So next, it reveals His presence. If we're willing to listen, God will intervene and show us His awesome power and reveal His will and purpose that He has for our life. But first, we must be willing to listen to Him. Next, it molds us to be more like Christ. So, an example of certain situations we might find ourselves in when these opportunities arise. So, to forgive, or to ask for forgiveness. These are certain situations that provide us the opportunity to be molded to be more like Christ. And whenever we don't respond in a godly manner, it shows us where we are in our faith. Next, and the ability to discern proper response in our trials. So this serves as a measure of our spiritual growth at different periods in our life. And God knows when we can and can't handle certain trials in our life. So you might be going through a trial today that you might not have been able to handle 5 years ago, because your response might have been a sinful one because of where you were at in your faith at that point in time. And hopefully through this 5 years, you've continued to grow in your faith, meaning you would have a godly response to a certain trial that might come your way. If you remain stagnant in your faith, your response is going to always be the wrong one. And now for another Unchained moment, where I go over my personal experiences with whatever subject we might be talking about that day. In today's case, trials in our life, and I go over how it is that I handled those certain situations. And we have these unchained moments because I'm sharing with you guys the mistakes that I made, in hopes that you take what it is that I'm giving you, you listen to it, and you learn from it, so you don't end up in the same position that I found myself in. I want you guys to learn. I want you guys to grow. And we say this all the time. We are blessed to go out to be blessings to other people. So what that means is, when we learn how to break our chains from a certain trial or problem that came our way, meaning we learned how to handle it the proper way, we can teach someone else how to break their chains too, whenever they're going through the same trial or about to go through the same trial. We can help them to navigate properly so they don't end up in the same situation. So I hope that you guys take what I'm giving you and you learn from my mistakes. Now, in this particular story, of course, has to do with a girl. And I remember this vividly, because I'm still suffering the consequences of it today. Now, this is a story where I didn't handle the situation properly. And over time, I'll go over, more of the story, so you start to understand where it is that I'm coming from. I'm going to give you both sides, both aspects of the story. But in this particular situation, because I had the wrong response, and because we both were not where we needed to be in our faith, in our walk with Christ, I'm in this position that I'm in today. So here's the story. It took place on a Wednesday night. The night before, I had lost my job. Now, of course, this person that I was with did not know that I had lost my job. I purposely kept that information from her. Why? Because I wanted to see if she was going to even notice. If she was going to ask me what was wrong, what's going on. I wanted to see. So I kept my mouth shut. And I was sitting at home, of course, working on things for my business. Because I had just got, the whole marketing thing down on the internet with my website, with, where to post on social media to gain traction and get attention, draw people into my business. So I was hard working on that. And then I'll never forget it. She comes from Bible study. I had just had an interview that I came from for a job. And, she comes, she sees that I'm in my office working on stuff for Tri-Fit Bootcamp. And, I tell her what it is that I'm doing. And then she has this long look on her face. And then she comes into the office. And I ask, what's wrong? And she said, nothing. I said, doesn't look like nothing. Something wrong? My head. Well, what's wrong with your head? It hurt. Does it hurt? No. Well, what's wrong with your head then? She asked, are you miserable? And I explained to her, because as I told you guys, I had lost my job the day before. So I knew where this train was about to go. And I was like, look, can we please not talk about this right now? Right now is not a good time. Can you please leave my office? Are you miserable? Please, I'm asking you now. I'm telling you now is not a good time. Can you please leave my office? Then when is a good time? Are you miserable? Please leave my office. And then some words were exchanged. Eventually, after asking her 3 more times, she leaves my office. And as she left my office, I think that she had bad intentions already planned in her mind. Because I told you, keep in mind, neither response with the events that I'm about to tell you was how a Christian is supposed to act. We were both in the wrong that day. So she leaves my office and she decides that she was going to record our conversation. So she knows how to get a rise out of me. All she has to say is that she's going to her parents. And she knows that I absolutely hate that. I absolutely hate that. Why? Because this is our house. This is where we live. You have an obligation. You have a responsibility here. You have an obligation and responsibility here. You don't live with your parents anymore. You live here. And you need to take accountability of that. You can't go run to mommy and daddy every single time a problem or issue arises. You need to be an adult, take accountability, and learn how to handle it for yourself. And, she records. I'm going to my mom's. She knows that she kept saying it. And she served as an instigator. She kept saying that. And I hate that. I absolutely hate that. So I'm getting caught up in my anger. I'm letting that get the better of me. I'm done. I'm miserable. I'm going to my mom's. And she just kept repeating it. And the situation started to get worse and worse and worse. You're not going to your mom's for the reasons that I explained to you. End of story. You're staying here. She kept doing it. Now, I should have been smarter. I should have realized what was going on. But see, the thing is, when you're angry and when you're upset, logic goes out of the window. You're not thinking about anything. You're not. You're only caught up in your anger, your feeling, your emotion. That's all you're thinking about. And you want to try to get your point across. You want to be right. That's the point of an argument. You want to be right. Things that I said, no. They should not have been said. And they were wrong. How I acted, no. It shouldn't have been that way. And it was wrong. Because when you get caught up in your anger, that's acting according to the flesh. That's not acting according to the Spirit of God living within you. And I will say that at any point in time, not at any point in time, during our relationship did I ever feel that God was the centerpiece of the relationship, which is why we ran into problems, which is why, we were sitting in the positions that we're sitting in today, because God was not the head of our relationship. And the problem started it got worse and worse and worse. The whole time she was recording. She recorded for about 45 minutes. And I remember, she kept trying to leave. But I felt that she did have a responsibility and obligation to the relationship, because this is what she committed to. And I prevented her from leaving, because I'm like, you don't belong there anymore. You belong here. Now, I know you think, because this is your backyard. This is your playground. This is where you're from. Your family, your friends, they're right here. So I know you feel that you can just go off and do all that. But no, you made a commitment to me and to this relationship. I'm sorry, but no, you can't do that. And then, she kept going and going and going. I wanna leave, I wanna go to my mom's, I'm done, I'm tired. And she kept repeating it. Eventually, we get to the end of the argument. And I finally tell her, not that you care, but the reason that I blew up like this is because the day before I had lost my job. They had laid me off. Not because of anything that I did, because I was the best worker that they had. I was basically the manager of that location, doing the manager's job, because he was never there. And to get treated in such a manner in a job, just to be laid off and not having done anything to deserve it, yeah, that hurt me pretty bad. And it's like she didn't even care. So I tell her, look, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go to the gym to cool down. Can I expect you to be here when I get back? She said, yeah. I was like, okay. I'm gonna say this. You're in a relationship with me. You made a commitment to me. Everybody else took a backseat to our relationship. Everybody else took a backseat. Any problem that exists in our relationship is right here between you and me. Nobody else. The only two people that can do anything to fix it are right here. So what I'm saying is, you can leave the house to go cool down. If you want to go for a drive, that's fine. But don't go to your best friend's house. Don't do that. And don't go to your parents' house. Don't do that either. You go cool down any way that you want. But you come right back here. Because this is your responsibility and your obligation to do so. You've made that commitment. So I leave. I go to the gym. Well, I went to the Regions parking lot because I was so angry that I didn't feel like going to the gym. So I went to go pray. Went to go cry. And I look up and I see her SUV and her best friend's truck right behind her. And just right down the way was the sheriff's department. And then I pull out of the parking lot of Regions and I follow. And then I pull up. Her best friend standing right there looking at me. I was like, what's going on? You need to go, bro. Hey man, what's going on? You need to go, bro. And I get out of the car. Dude, what's going on? You need to go, bro, right now. Hey, run up the stairs, go in the sheriff's department. And I step close. He runs up the stairs. You need to go, bro, right now, or we're gonna call the sheriff. Lady comes out. Do we need to call the sheriff? Excuse me, miss. That's my woman. I know. You need to go right now. She needs to cool off. So I figured probably wouldn't be safe for me to stay in town. So I left. And I came back home with my tail tucked between my legs. Turns out, I didn't find this out till maybe a week and a half after the events that transpired. But she had filed an order of protection against me. Later, the charges were dropped. But she had filed an order of protection against me. And during that whole time, herself and her parents, they tried to contact me, they tried to call me. Now, I can't call, I couldn't text, I couldn't say anything to them. Because if I did, not only could it be used against me in court, but I would have ended up in jail. And they were trying to get me to break that order of protection. Guys, when you respond in the wrong manner, you end up in a position much like myself. You end up with your world seeming like it's crumbling down. You end up sitting here looking like an idiot. Because in that moment, you were an idiot. Because you didn't handle yourself in the proper way. Because you didn't handle yourself in the proper manner. And then you end up suffering the consequences for it. Guys, I really want you to hear my mistakes. Learn from them. This was not the proper way to respond. On either side. Who does that? That was not the proper way to respond. On either side, I don't care who you are. Neither one of us was in the right that day. And now we suffer the consequences for it. Learn from my mistakes, guys, especially if you're serious about either getting married or getting into a relationship. You need to choose the person that you're going to be with carefully. And the first thing you need to do, you need to go to the source. You need to pray. You need to read and abide in God's word. How do you hear God? By studying His word, reading His word. That's how you hear Him. That's how you know. And that's what I did not do. I did not do that. And when you don't do that, it's going to have consequences. Last week, I told you about immediately jumping into a relationship. You didn't take the time to learn anything about yourself. You didn't take the time to get to know who it is that you are. You didn't learn anything. So you end up going into the same problems that you came out with in the previous relationship, and you bring it into the next one. You didn't learn anything about yourself. And that's what happened. Learn from me, guys. This was another Unchained moment. All right, guys. In closing, it is important that we don't waste our sorrows, heartache, pain, suffering, or discipline on a wrong response. That's very, very important. Moaning, complaining, groaning, feeling like a victim, blaming others gets you absolutely nowhere whenever trials come your way. Because despite you complaining, despite you cussing like a sailor, despite you groaning, despite you blaming others, despite you acting like a victim, those problems are still going to be there at the end of the day. They're still going to be there. A wise person understands this. We don't go through crap to come out empty-handed, to come out hopeless and helpless. When we have the proper perception and wisdom of God's will and purpose for this particular trial, we will know the proper way to respond whenever that problem finds us. Because we understand God is up to something good in our lives. And this trial serves to bring two things: learning and something to benefit from. So guys, that's the end of today's lesson. I really, really, truly hope that I was able to reach somebody, to get my message across, so that you take my mistakes and you learn from them. I hope I was able to do that. And guys, if you haven't already done so, and if you're new to this channel, please click that subscribe, like, and share button. Because with each subscribe, with each like, with each share, it helps our channel to continue to grow. And it helps to expand our message out there to all who are willing to listen to it. And please feel free to leave any kind of questions, comments, or suggestions that you guys might have. If you want to leave a topic down in the discussion for me to talk about, then please do so. If you want to reach me by my email, my website, or on my Facebook page, you can do that also. And I'll do my best to respond to each and every one of you in a timely manner. Guys, this is Faith Unchained, where I teach you how to break the chains that bind you.